Well, I was starting to beginning with talking with the CTurt PS2 emulation that CTurt found a backdoor through the official PlayStation 2 emulation with running.
Did you say CTurt?
CTurt. I can't pronounce his name.
No,
CTurt.
it sounds like it's close enough to turd. I mean, if you change one letter.
Very smart individual, but very shitty nickname. But hey, that's his nickname. But wait, did Nick crash again?
So I can say, guys, I haven't read too much over the article for it.
Yeah.
Is this really unpatchable?
Oh my god.
Supposedly they can't fix it because it's through the emulator. Unless PlayStation redoes the emulator, the door's still open for PS4 and PS5 with the emulation. I think, yeah. So that's pretty much
a bit of misinformation there. It's not a backdoor. That is not correct terminology to use.
Okay.
It would just be considered as an exploit.
Yeah.
However, it is unpatchable in current emulator that is being used, but they can just
if it was backdoor, it would be like if you use this exploit to then install another exploit. That other exploit you installed would be the backdoor.
Yeah.
I'm glad you clarified that because that was going to be my next question. What would be considered a backdoor? So if you ran an exploit to possibly run another exploit to
if this exploit somehow allowed you to break out of the emulator and change an emulator file to then when you ran the emulator it would actually execute code on the PS5 like level, that would probably be like if by some act of God someone created that would be the mother of all backdoors.
With how much work went into making the PS2 emulator, I doubt they're going to patch it because unless they could find some type of other way of chain loading another payload or a command to do PS5 piracy, they're not going to fix it. They're just going to leave it.
They don't
care.
Is that all you heard? Did you not hear me say care? I don't know.
No, you said they don't and you stopped. I'm guessing you said
I did say care. My noise canceling blocked it out.
This is going to end up like how it was with the Wii, where when that came out, basically as soon as the console came out, people found out that you could take over the GameCube mode. Nintendo didn't care. You can't break out of GameCube mode. So my guess is what they're going to do is they're going to go, okay, well, sure, they took over PS2 mode. You can't break out of PS2 mode. So fine, if you want to hack that, that's whatever. We don't give a shit about the PS2. If you want to hack the PS2, we don't care. We don't care about this because you can't do anything with it.
It's their PS2 mode.
Okay,
so PS2 exploits, well known. Nobody gives a shit at this point. Like, everybody who cared about exploiting PS2 games have already done it.
Yeah, you can do the PS4 and make your own fake PS2 PKGs. No, I've made them before. They work out pretty good, But it's kind of like, what's the point, Because the frame rates are really shitty right now. It's like 10 frame rates. Very slow.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and you could just do the same thing on your cell phone.
From this, we do a hack from this PS2 emulator. Is it possible?
So it is theoretically possible if that Sony is really, really bad at making anything secure, which we've seen before, given the fact that their web browser could overflow into memory. They might have some similar issues where you can overwrite memory with the PS2 emulator, but I honestly don't.
I'm kind of going into kind of what I said earlier about if this exploit were somehow, I don't even think this is physically possible, but somehow it was able to, let's say it found a way to run a thing that, I don't know, theoretically it would be modifying the BIOS, right? If it was running an actual PS2, it would modify the BIOS. But by doing that, it actually modifies some file on the PS5 that gets access in PS5 mode, and then you're now triggering a PS5 exploit. Yeah. That would be the only way I could feasibly see that happening. Otherwise, it most likely happen. I don't know how this PS2 emulator works, but if it's anything like how the GameCube mode on the Wii works, it sandboxes the console off. You can't just go back to PS5 mode. You have to turn it off and on again to get it out of PS2 mode. So
to get the PS2 emulator to work, you need to have a computer and you need to chain load with the IP address and do all that bullshit. And I don't know if you ever
so So there's no way that you're able to get out of PS2 mode, which means theoretically, when you turn it off, RAM gets reset. So once RAM is reset, then there's nothing you can do at that point.
Yeah,
it's
that's
either you mod
call it.
PS2 mode or your RAM is gone. So there's going to get to PS5 mode again, unless somehow you modified a file within PS2 mode that then got accessed by PS5 mode.
Dead Specimen, do you have a hacked PS4?
I don't own any PlayStation console besides my brother's old PSP that I don't even have tools to mod.
He hates PlayStation.
Hey, it's free game.
I have a hacked PlayStation.
In fairness, PlayStation has appeal. It's just not my appeal. I'm more of a Halo guy and a racing guy, not an adventure RPG, whatever the fuck PlayStation has kind of guy.
Piracy is my appeal. If you tell me, Kmart just made a new exclusive Kmart box. Now you could hack it to play pirate games. I'll go buy it. That's how I am.
Well, this is why I play PC.
I would not be here today talking with you guys. I'm telling you, if Switch wasn't hacked, I would not be here.
This is why I play PC. I'll help Codex.
That is the same thing for me. I only found this when researching the SX core. That
is
how I found Nick.
Same. Hey, we all linked up on the same thing. Which is
I only found Nick, or I only found Kyle on my my private hacking forum that he leaked all the Switch keys to.
So let me ask you guys this, right? This hack, everybody's acting like this was the next big thing. So from what I'm hearing from you guys, this hack is simply just PlayStation 2 Emulator. If you had a buddy who's got a PlayStation 5, and he's saying, hey, I'm considering whether I should update my PlayStation or not because I don't know if I could get more out of it because there's something already. What would you recommend to that person?
Here's the thing with PlayStation. You can always do the offline update. If an exploit comes out, your PlayStation's on V1. The exploit comes out for that emulator and lets you get out to PS5. You can always go up to that version and stay there.
Yep, 100% right. You could always go up, but you can't go down. My PS5 is on version 1.14. I'm not updating it. I'm not touching the system until the jailbreak and the kernel hack comes out and all other shit. I'm staying where I am. That's why I bought the system on day one. Same thing with the Series X because you never know. I'm sure the Xbox will be hacked.
Okay, let's talk about the Series X for a second.
Let's talk about that. Let's talk.
Physically impossible to exploit.
Now, Kyle, I want you to unpack that. You say physically impossible. Is it because the process that Microsoft used to kind of sandbox?
But Microsoft has been developing their virtualization technology for years, right? Every time you open a game on the Xbox Series consoles, it spawns in a complete virtual machine.
It does.
And let me add to that too the fact that I've said a million times before why the Xbox isn't hacked, so I'll keep it to a very small point that UWP is a bitch. Okay, cracking a UWP game or cracking the Xbox operating system, which is basically Windows. So if you find some crazy exploit for it, you found an exploit for Windows, which is pretty scary. And you could have a lot of implications. Doing either of those things is such a fucking feat that if you did it, you wouldn't want to release it. It's not like on the Switch where RCM mode affected at worst Tesla cars. That was the worst thing it affected, which is a pretty big deal, but you had to have hardware access. The likelihood of it getting exploited in a way that could be seriously dangerous to people was very low, and after that it was just simple software to get anything you want running. You can't do that on an Xbox. It's not that simple.
Xbox, if there was theoretically an Xbox or a vulnerability in the Xbox, it would not affect the general person. And however, it will affect people who are running Hyper-V virtual machines. If you find an exploit that will let you get through that, that screws up a lot.
And the big problem with that is that a lot of businesses use that. So we're talking a lot of businesses go vulnerable. We're talking probably Microsoft themselves, the company, are seriously vulnerable if that gets leaked.
Yeah, so you can actually play with a lot of the features that the Xbox uses. So, like their quick resume, right? that's because it is a VM. It can save the state of the memory of that VM. And you can play with this on your own computer if you have a desktop Windows computer with with Windows' Hyper-V. As long as you have Windows 10 Pro, I don't know about 11. 11's garbage. As long as you have that, you can install Hyper-V. And
talk about Windows 11, man. Windows 11 is a nice blend between Windows and Mac, sir. Okay.
You know what the best operating system is? No, this is the best operating system, Windows 7.
Yeah, Windows Vista. Shut up, you. No. Hear me out.
Okay.
Hear me out. Okay.
Let me put myself out there. Can I put myself out there real quick? I need to put myself out there real quick. I actually kind of liked Windows 8.
Okay. No, you just cannot be.
We need to talk about this, man. This is disturbing for all of us. So let's.
Anyways, Windows 11, absolute garbage. Windows 7, yeah, it's good. And here's why it was good. Okay, if Windows 7 came out before Vista, it would have all the issues that Vista had when it came out. The issues with Windows Vista was that there was no driver support. By the time Windows 7 came out, the drivers were the same between Vista and 7, so it still worked. And that is why Windows Vista failed. Windows Vista was just a better looking, more modern version of Windows 7.
Right. But Kyle, you forgot one important piece though. The media said Windows was bad, so it has to be bad. Isn't that how that works?
Oh, that's yeah, true. No, 100%. When it came out, it was bad. It had no drivers.
Right, but they haven't taken their opinion back. They haven't reversed their opinion, so the universal truth. I thought that's how that worked.
Yeah.
Now here's the deal: the Windows 10 update broke my gaming PC and my laptop more times than that happening with Windows 7.
Oh, Windows 10 update systems are absolute garbage in today's day and age. Mac beats it, Linux beats it, Android beats it, iOS beats it, everything beats it.
Oh, iOS updates beat literally everything, because I don't think there's been a time in recent history in which an iOS update has... Well, okay, iOS 11 was pretty bad, but other than iOS 11, most iOS updates, don't brick your phone like a lot of Android and Windows updates have.
Oh, what the
and also,
hey,
nothing below the belt, boys, all right?
Talk about us, Android. But I will say iOS...
Hey, I'm an Android user.
Oh, by the way, Apple sucks.
You're right, but Android's winning, but still, Apple has updates to the teeth. You get 4 years of updates. With my S22 Ultra, you get 4 years of updates. You can get didn't the S6s get like 7 years of updates or something?
That is your own fault for buying a subpar Samsung device that limits
your
everything
life is
down.
subpar, Kyle. Your life is subpar.
My life.
I thought you didn't know this. Hold on, I'm going to say something. I bet Dead Specimen didn't know this. Maybe he did, so forgive me. A long time ago with Apple, I don't know if they still implemented this bullshit or not. I don't know the version of the Apple OS, but supposedly if your screen was to be broken, you go to put an aftermarket screen and the Apple...
that's still a thing. It's been a thing for years. I know where you're going with this.
It was also this thing with home buttons and the power button. They chip everything for no reason.
And with the iPhone 14, the new thing is the front camera. If you replace your front camera, it gets disabled.
That's why Android don't do this shit. Apple are fucking... They're horrible. They're Nazis.
Talk to them. Android don't do that.
Android don't do that shit. You know,
too many
biggest issue with Windows updates. Okay,
we got too many
issues with Windows update. Completely takes over your system. You can't use it while it's updating. It's stupid. It's just so old of technologies. You look at something else like let's take what I'm using right now because I'm elitist, right? If you do a Windows update or a Linux update,
Kyle, everyone wants to punch you right now. I hope you know that.
Oh yeah, no, I know. If I do a Linux update though, I don't have to reboot my system. I can do it while I'm on this podcast. I won't have to restart my system.
Here's the thing too. Let's look at Android. Android, you have to restart your phone, but it takes like 10 minutes at most, and you have the full option to click do it later. You can do it later, and then when you're going to bed, you click the button. 10 minutes later, it's done.
100% right.
Not 40 minutes. Not 40 minutes later, and then it tells you it has to roll it back, and then 40 minutes later, it boots up, and then force reinstalls it again. 40 minutes later, it then fails again. I hate Windows.
Do you know how many Windows 10 updates broke my POS system at my
All
restaurant?
of them. Every single one.
Yeah, the fucking Windows 10 updates. Oh, we're working on bringing you great stuff. And I'm saying to myself, what great stuff? If another fucking busted thing.
Now,
If it was one of my printer drivers, how to fix that. The whole thing fucking sucks.
Oh yeah. Hang
Use
on.
an iPad with
I
one of
gotta
those
go
fucking
update my
Slayer
computer
things.
real
I
quick. I'll be
even-
back in about 2 to 18 hours. After
Yep.
it's done, I also will not have any audio drivers anymore,
Yep.
and my web browser will stop working. Also, I don't have my video card drivers, so I need to go in safe mode
why y'all
and use
doing
my
Microsoft
dedicated
like
Intel
this,
GPU.
man? Y'all know I'm a Microsoft fanboy at heart, man.
You know what? You know I would hella buy an Xbox Series X if I had to buy a 9th gen console. That doesn't mean I'm not going to shit on Microsoft for their terrible practices.
Now, you know what pisses me off? I went into the registry
It works.
Right.
though.
in Windows 10. I went in the registry and I followed the tutorial how to permanently delete Windows 10 updates and pending updates. Followed that tutorial. I deleted all the shit I needed to delete. Right. A week later, the motherfucker reinstalls all the files. Windows 10 is nothing but a big tracking device.
Let's
That's all it
look
is.
at the documentation for Microsoft too, though. Right? Half the time it says reboot your system and that'll fix everything. Other half the time it says reinstall or just wipe your entire system. Or it tells you to run a single command in command prompt, which doesn't actually do anything. It
Or
always
that
fails
stupid-
if your system has any issues.
Or that stupid wizard. Oh, we're gonna try to detect the
Oh
problem.
yeah, the troubleshooting wizard.
Now,
We can solve everything
It's
for you.
now here's the deal.
It's
I actually
really worthless.
had to work on my gaming PC. It actually fixed the audio driver because I have my gaming PC hooked up to my 70-inch 4K TV. Sometimes the audio gets fucked up because it goes through a stereo system, but it
Look
works
at the-
great now.
That you start your Windows computer, okay? It takes about 10 minutes to get your desktop and stuff ready, you know? You know what I'm
No,
referring to,
mine
right?
doesn't. Mine doesn't. Do you know why?
You got
I don't-
SSDs.
Yeah.
No, when you first install, I'm
Oh, yeah.
saying.
Yep.
Not when you start up. I'm saying when you first install Windows.
Oh,
It takes like 20 minutes to just get your desktop working.
yes,
right?
100%
That
right.
is a bug in Microsoft that has been there for at least a decade.
Now
And
here's
do you want to know how you just completely skip it? If you hit Control Alt Delete while it's doing its thing, gone, done.
Now here's
Didn't
the
exist.
deal.
Not needed.
That backdoor
Kyle
has.
is
I call it
a very angry man right now.
Wait. Hold on. I want to talk to Kyle.
so funny.
Here's the deal. Here's the deal, Kyle. It hasn't been fixed. I don't know if Windows knows about it or not. If you go to log into a user account and it kind of crashes, Control Alt Delete, and
Yeah.
it forces you right in. I figured
I
that
know.
out. I'm not lying to you. I figured that out by myself on Windows XP back in the day. Oh, this works great. I can get right into my system. That
Hey,
was awesome.
It
gentlemen,
skips everything.
real quick. I'm going to watch this from the afterlife. However, my phone burns up to the point where I can't charge it. I've got severe storms barreling towards me right now, so I'm gonna hop off so I can charge my phone and cool my phone
All right, take
down.
care,
But
Jim.
y'all have
Bye.
y'all have a good night. Y'all have a good time yelling at each other.
Good night.
I had fun completely derailing the stream. I apologize, Nick, but I'll be glad to do it again. So y'all have a good night and thank you for having me on.
Enjoy
Be safe,
yourself.
Dad. Don't be
safe.
dead, Dad.
Watch out for that damn torch. Don't run outside. Don't do no stupid shit. Just stay at home.
Oh,
You don't pick it up
I'm
when you-
gonna run outside and touch the nearest metal pole.
Just hold on to something.
You know what? Fuck charging my phone. I'm gonna run outside. I'll turn my camera on. I'll touch that pole. I'll charge my phone right up real quick.
Yeah, it'll be a dead charger.
Oh, man,
Got 1,000% phone percentage.
That's right.
I appreciate you, man. Be safe, man. Take it easy.
All right, see you guys.
That's fast.
Yeah.
We should probably get back on topic.
Yeah, you know what, Kyle, you're right. But there is something that you spoke about. I felt the anger, the frustration come in you, and you being the young OG. I respect you. You've taught me a lot. Let me ask you: is being an elitist, someone like me uses Windows from day to day? I work with a lot of businesses that deal with Windows. Okay, let me ask you this, Kyle. Why do you think the Windows operating system is so prominent and has such a dominant control over the market? I know there's a marketing side of it. Is it just people are just stuck doing what they know, or
It's
Is
just
Microsoft?
easier.
okay?
Comes pre-installed, it just works. You don't have to worry about any issues out of the box. You don't have to worry about driver support because everybody supports it. Your program's guaranteed to work on it. Mostly guaranteed to work on it, unless you're doing some crazy stuff anyways. In which case, you probably don't care what you're using.
It's so true.
See, now I use a lot of non-official applications from Microsoft, if you know what I'm talking about. I have to always change the compatibility mode, granted access of, the root access, right click, run as administrator.
Do not do that.
Yeah.
It's the worst thing
It
to
is.
do.
Compatibility mode. You hate that.
Oh, just run it as administrator. That solves all your problems. Do not.
Yeah, I will agree on that. I've actually dealt with the problem last week with a customer where if they ran a software as admin and they opened Outlook, it just didn't talk to each other because one was being ran as admin.
Yeah, they were completely different user accounts. That makes sense. That's how it should be.
So I'm just like, wow, well, of course you're not working. You got this running as admin. It's a whole different damn folder, but okay.
I'm sorry, you're derailing me again, and now I gotta think more about Windows 11. Windows 11 is absolute garbage.
I haven't used it. I haven't used it at all.
Okay. So, some things,
why is
like
it
little tweaks you could do with Windows 11. Let's say you don't like the new home menu, okay? If you just go to the registry, you could just disable the brand new taskbar, and right underneath it, just disabling the new one. The Windows 10 one is just under it. Still.
Well, basically,
hold on, Kyle. You got to rewind that back. Are you telling me I've been using the Windows 11 Home button, okay? Because it looks like Mac. It's very similar to Mac.
It looks exactly like a fucking.
And the Windows 10 one is just right underneath. Still there. Fully functional.
So basically, Windows 11 is just basically reskin with Windows 10.
Windows 11 is just a sloppy skin on Windows 10. If you go to WinBur, it still says Windows 10. The kernel version is NT10.
I can agree on that because there is certain things. Even when you right click on icons, you know how you got to go to more options to get the same exact menu from Windows 10?
It's just a sloppy reskin of Windows 10. That's all it is.
I'm with you on that.
Do you know what pissed me off, Nick? When we went from Windows 7 to Windows 10, because I always do keyboard commands to open up things. Instead of typing in computer, this PC. Are you fucking stupid? It's been called.
Oh my god, I hated that. That was horrid. It took so long to get used to that.
I'm not gonna lie. That was bad. That was bad. That was real bad. That was like, how do you're right, this PC.
You know what the best part about that is?
What's that?
You could change what you have to search for it if you rename it in Windows Explorer to whatever you want. You could do that in Windows 10. If you want Windows 10 to be typing this PC, you could do that.
What's next? What's next? They're going to change local disk C to local home storage media hard drive.
Oh yeah. Let's talk about that. Let's say how you have to have backslashes in the file path, but if you're using command prompt, you still have to use forward slashes.
You do.
Yep.
You do. If you
because it is just skin. It is not real. It is actually using forward slashes, but they just pretend. Oh yeah, no, we're different than everybody else. We use backslashes. See,